And joining me now from Halifax, Veterans Affairs Minister Erin O'Toole. So, Mr. O'Toole, you have known about this disparity between regular troops and reservists for years. What took so long for the government to fix it?
Well, we've known about the potential here for a few years, Bob. The new Veterans Charter only came in about 8 years ago or so, and the Ombudsman identified this a few years ago as a serious issue, and the Standing Committee last June also highlighted it. So this is something we fixed today. This week we fixed 2 of the gaps that were in the new Veterans Charter to make it stronger. Today we're making sure that if you're a reservist, a part-time reservist, Class A or B, and you're injured in the line of duty, that you'll get the same level of support in that income replacement while you're doing some of the rehabilitation under the new Veterans Charter.
Well, would you have been doing this if we weren't so close to the election?
Well, last year an all-party committee came together. The Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs released their report last June with a number of recommendations. This was one of them, and we've been acting since then, Bob. This is one that we've coordinated with my counterpart, Mr. Kenney, because this is a national defense and a Veterans Affairs issue, because the reservists are an important part of our armed forces. I've said today is about respect for reservists. And the veterans piece is if they're injured to a point that they likely won't be able to return to their career with the Canadian Armed Forces or their civilian career as a reservist, because they're juggling both. This is to give them that income replacement, that earning loss, while we give them the education and the retraining as part of our vocational rehabilitation.
Minister, how do you change the culture at Veterans Affairs? The department has a reputation among veterans of acting like it's an insurance company, and the bureaucrats seem to work hard at shafting veterans.
Well, I'm very fortunate, Bob. My deputy minister, who's been in the job a few months longer than I have, is General Walt Natinchuk, who is Chief of Defense Staff. So right now, the minister and deputy are veterans for the first time in modern age of Veterans Affairs. We're saying to everyone that works at Veterans Affairs, you have to recommit to our cause, which is serving veterans and their families. That's why I've talked about being veteran-centric. It's not just the people, not just the case managers who work on the front lines, it's everyone. And we're revisiting almost everything we do as a department to make sure that we meet the needs of our veterans and their families.
Does that mean then you'll be reopening the veterans offices, particularly in Atlantic Canada, where there are a lot of veterans?
This is about doing things that meet the needs of the older traditional veterans, the World War II and Korea veterans that were the more heavy users of the old district offices, Bob. But it's also about meeting the needs of the younger veterans who don't go into offices. It's almost like they've never had bank books in their life. They want to access services online. We've been a little slow to make the transition to allowing some of that service online, but we have that now. We have the VAC account, which we're improving. So this is the challenge the department faces, Bob, is we have to serve the traditional war veterans who are in their 90s, right through to veterans seriously injured in service in Bosnia or in Afghanistan, who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. They have different needs, and they want to draw services in different ways. We're trying best to meet all needs.
So does that mean no, you're not going to reopen those offices?
Well, what we did with those offices is we took one person from that office and transferred them to the Service Canada office. In 5 cases, the Service Canada office was in the same building. And if you look at how many people were in those offices per day, it was fewer than 10 in a lot of cases. So we do have that frontline person there. But we're also looking, and this is something I'm working with Walt Natinchuk on, is can we bring some flexibility to service as needs fluctuate in different parts of the country. The district office model came after World War II, when the government didn't have any offices in the towns and cities of Canada. Now we have Service Canada, we have to leverage those, but can we build more flexibility into the system to put people into areas when there's acute needs?
Mr. Minister, thank you very much for speaking to us. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Bob.
Culture